What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we got a small surprise update in Modern Warfare 3, and this one was just taking care of a bunch of bug fixes. However, we also saw a nerf to the DG-58 LSW, and I just wanted to make sure I was covering all of those details today. So let's just dive right into this, and the first thing we're going to talk about is just a bunch of bug fixes. The first thing is you can now preview equipment skins in the store. The Track Challenges widget will now accurately reflect progress toward weapon prestige camos. Locked calling cards that you earn via the Battle Pass in a season are now displayed in the customization menu. The locked and unlocked filter for calling cards in the customization menu now functions as expected. They restored the functionality of the Select Deselect All button in the Quick Play menu. And the EMP heads-up display no longer persists upon the Wilson HS destruction via the Storm Ender, and that one's actually been around for quite some time. On top of that, when you first spawn into a match, if you're using an akimbo weapon, previously you'd actually be giving less reserve ammo just for that one life, just as you're spawning in the first time, and they have apparently taken care of that one as well. This patch also included the fix for weapon prestige camos for Modern Warfare II weapons, and that's a brand new feature they just added, and it was meant to be available for all weapons, but it was only available for Modern Warfare 3 weapons at first. Now it's available for Modern Warfare 2 weapons as well. Then on the map Derail, they added a collision to prevent an exploit that allowed players to get into the blue train car near the crossing area. After that, for game modes, in the arcade mode, EOD padding will no longer reduce incoming explosive damage by the power weapons. It'll still work against other explosives, but not the explosives from the power weapons themselves. And that's just going to make those power weapons that much more powerful. Then in Infected, they fixed an issue where blank perk icons were showing up when you spawned in as a survivor, and they've apparently fixed that one. For One in the Chamber, the weapon match stats in the after action report is no longer empty. And now that we have all that out of the way, that's what I consider to be the boring stuff of this patch. Let's get into weapons and attachments, and then also some perk and equipment and field upgrade adjustments. And let's dive in with that DG-58 LSW nerf. And what they did here is, unfortunately, they just eliminated the bonus damage zone that we previously had with the Season 3 Reloaded updates, and that was the zone where, as long as you were hitting torso or arms, we were capable of getting a 4-shot kill, as long as all 4 of those shots hit that zone. If you mixed a leg shot in, it would take you 5 shots to kill. But that's what made this gun really powerful after the Reloaded update, because we could get a 255 millisecond time to kill to the body, which is very, very impressive. Post-patch, we no longer deal that bonus damage, and therefore, it is going to be a 5-shot kill to the body. However, I do want to point out, you can still get a 4-shot kill if you hit just one single headshot mixed in with body shots. So you still have that potential there. It's just going to be far less consistent now, and you have to make sure you're trying to land that headshot. I do want to point out, this is still significantly better than the DG-58 was before that buff with the Season 3 Reloaded update. And I just want to remind you that recoil buff that took place with that update, that's still present, so it's going to be a lot more accurate still, and very consistent as well. It also used to drop off to a 6-shot kill at longer ranges, whereas after this update, it's still going to maintain that 5-shot kill potential anywhere in the body at any range. So while it is a bit unfortunate to see these nerfs because this gun just never saw any use early on in the game's lifecycle, and finally it was a really good gun, I wouldn't say they totally destroyed it with this update. It's just no longer a really big standout. Unless we're using the Jack Nightshade rifle kit, because it turns out with this update, this nerf did not apply to the kit, only the base version of the DG-58, and as a result, using that kit is exactly the same now post-patch as it was pre-patch, and this is still an amazing gun. I still consider this to be upper tier. And honestly, I'm hoping this wasn't just an oversight and they just missed out on the Jack Nightshade rifle kit. I hope they intend for this kit to still be a very powerful option. I mean, you are using one of your attachment slots in order to gain this power, and it's not like it's so ridiculously powerful that nothing else in the game can compete. It's just what I consider to be an upper tier, quote-unquote, assault rifle, and I really wouldn't want to see them nerf this back to the point where it's just not worth using anymore. So there we go, that's a nerf to the DG-58 LSW. Next, with the Lockwood Mark II Jack Warden's kit, apparently before this update, there was a method of keeping a certain attachments on that were meant to be incompatible with that kit, but they have resolved that issue now, so you can't do that anymore. Then I was really worried to see the next one. With the Cor-45, they implemented measures to prevent exploits that allow firing faster than intended. And I was super worried they were just going to be nerfing the rate of fire potential, especially with the triggers, in order to prevent people from reaching that rate of fire cap. And that would suck because this is one of the few guns in the game that has a semi-auto fire rate cap that's high enough for people with good trigger fingers to be able to use that skill effectively. And let's just have a look at this pre-patch versus post-patch. This is just my trigger finger firing as fast as I can with the lightning trigger. And in both cases, it looks pretty much the same here. So it seems if you just have a good trigger finger, you're not going to notice any difference here. It looks like they were just targeting like jitter mods, for instance, that you would have access to with a Cronus device. After that, for a few of the optics, they adjusted the pros and cons just to reflect their true statistics. And the first one they mentioned is the Choreo Enforcer optic. And at least on the MCW, looking at it pre-patch versus post-patch, I'm not seeing any difference here. So perhaps this was just with like sniper rifles or something. Unfortunately, I didn't get a screen grab here pre-patch with a sniper rifle to compare to. But at least on the MCW, nothing appeared to have changed here at all. However, with the Dragon's Eye optic, this is the second one they mentioned a change to. On the MCW at least, the pros used to state an improvement to our aim walking speed and our aim down sight speed, but the advanced stats didn't show any improvement to those areas, and post-patch they've just removed those pros from the equation, so it does match up with the advanced stats. And then finally for these optics, with the KR Marauder 9 Riser, pre-patch, the pros stated an improvement to our aim walking speed and aim down sight speed, with the con being a reduction to our firing aim stability. However, in the advanced stats pre-patch, this didn't change our aim down sight time at all, and it actually harmed our ADS movement speed, even though it said it was meant to help in this area. Post-patch, they removed all the pros entirely, so aim down sight speed isn't part of the equation, as the advanced stats used to state anyway, and they moved ADS movement speed to the con side of things, which now accurately aligns with what the advanced stats are stating. So with this one, it wasn't an actual change to how the optic performs, it's just that the pros and cons now line up with what it actually does and has always been doing. So that's it for the changes to weapons and attachments. Next, let's get into perks, and with the high gain antenna perk, they address an issue causing equipment detected by allies with Signature Jammer to not appear indicated on the compass like it was meant to. While I don't use this very often, the few times that I did, I never noticed any issues with this area, but apparently they took care of a bug there, which is nice to see. Then for the scatter mine equipment, in hardcore game mode specifically, players that have EOD padding equipped will no longer be immune to the stun effect from those scatter mines, so those will be at least a little bit more powerful in hardcore modes again. And then finally for this update, with the brand new Enhanced Vision Goggles field upgrade, once the battery runs out when you're using it, you are no longer going to be forced to unequip it without any control over that animation and when that animation happens. And instead, when you let the battery die, if you don't remove it manually, you're just going to get this view here where everything's really blurry. Every now and then you're also going to see like a little glitch where the whole screen sort of moves. So it's definitely going to be harder to see things at that point, and you're going to want to remove those EVGs. But I think this was a great solution, so you're never forced into an animation that you don't have any control over, especially if you're in the middle of a gunfight. If it just happens that your EVGs run out as you're actively trying to shoot somebody, obviously it's a frustrating experience when your character just takes those EVGs off. So this solution was great, where you still want to get those off, but you have full control over when you take those off. It is worth noting with this though, if you leave them on and in that blurry state, the battery's not going to be recharging at that point. The battery won't start recharging until you actually remove them. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video, just covering all the things that changed in multiplayer with today's update. Overall, it's great to see them continuing to work on bug fixes as time goes on. And also, it seems like they're just releasing updates as they're available, rather than saving them all up for a major update. It's great to see these little updates as well, just mixed in there. And then when it comes to my thoughts on the DG-58 LSW Nerf, honestly, I was a little disappointed to see this, but at the same time, I can acknowledge that it was very, very powerful with that 4-shot kill potential to the body. It was by far the best LMG in the game. And at least after this update, they didn't overdo it. It's still a much better gun now than it was before the Season 3 Reloaded updates, and I would still say it's a very viable LMG to use. And then of course, if you're using that kit on it, it's still definitely an upper tier gun. But with that, this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about today's small update, especially that DG-58 LSW Nerf? Are you generally happy to see this, or not so much? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.